is the Celebrity Afterlife Report podcast.
Oh, do I even have to say it? You know what time it is. It's time for another installment of the Celebrity Afterlife Report, the only show on the internet that gives you the up-to-the-minute gossip about all your favorite deceased celebrities. Oh, I went ahead and said it, didn't I? Oh, well. Despite what you might imagine, according to everything I've been told, the next world seems to be every bit as obsessed with celebrities as the earthly plane is. It even has its own versions of our gossip magazines and TV shows. And just between you and me, they are some of the sources I use for the stories I tell you about on the report each week. Our first story this week comes from Spirit Magazine, the Afterlife equivalent of our People magazine. But just like People, Spirit often features its own top 10 lists. This past week's edition of Spirit had a cover trumpeting the 10 hottest redheads in the next world. I haven't been given the entire list by my sources, but I do know the identity of number one, and you'll never guess who it is. According to Spirit Magazine, the hottest redhead in the afterlife is, drumroll please, American founding father Thomas Jefferson. You probably didn't even know TJ is a ginger, did you? Well, it's true, and according to Spirit's editors, he was picked as number one because of his intelligence and wit, which they say are his sexiest traits. One of my sources tells me that Tom refused the magazine's request to pose in a swimsuit, saying that he thought it was undignified. I'm informed that he asked the magazine not to put him on the list at all, but there was nothing he could do to stop them from including him. Word is that Jefferson is not happy about his inclusion, even though he is number one, and supposedly he's also embarrassed by the women and men who approach him in public because of his new unwanted status. My advice to Tom, just lighten up. There are a lot worse lists you could be number one on. Our next story is a little different. Week in and week out, I report gossip to you as told to me by various contacts I have in the next world. I never give their names, even though while some of them are famous in their own right, most of them are people you've never heard of. There's one, however, I've been dying to tell you the identity of, and I just received permission from her to do so. One of the best sources I have for celebrity gossip from the afterlife is, wait for it, Diana Spencer. You may know her better as Princess Diana, even though her untimely transition to the next world came after a car crash when she was being chased by paparazzi. In her new reality, Princess Di has become a celebrity stalker herself. When I asked her why she was now doing what she reviled others for doing when she was on the earthly plane, she told me, quote, "When I arrived here, I was surprised to see that there were paparazzi here also. I thought it might be interesting to see things from their perspective. After a while, I decided I rather liked the excitement of being on the other end of the chase." Unquote. The irony of the hunted becoming a huntress has tickled me for some time now, and I've been dying to tell you what Di has been up to, but I had to wait until I had her permission. So now you all know who one of my most trusted sources for the stories I relate to you each week is. You know, life can take some funny twists on Earth, but in the afterlife, sometimes they're positively hilarious. Before we take next week off for the July 4th holiday here in the States, there's two stories I want to get you up to date about. The first is the whole Adolf Hitler, Charles Lindbergh, Martin Luther King Jr. situation. When last we left the unlikely trio, Lindbergh was still working on building his whites-only town in the next world. Hitler was camped outside it as part of a 24/7 vigil to try to stop construction of the project, and Dr. King had joined him, much to the distress of his wife Coretta, who thinks that he is trying to avoid being with her after she went off on him for allegedly consorting with groupies on his recent tour as a soul singer. What a mishegas! Okay, my sources now tell me that the buzz on the Afterlife rumor mill is that the Kings are on a break, at least for now. As you'll recall from last week's report, Mrs. King showed up at the site of the vigil and had a very loud public argument with her husband. Since then, sources inform me, she has been telling friends that Martin is going to have to choose between being at Lucky Lindy's side or hers. My sources, as well as Next World press reports, say that Dr. King is still outside Lindbergh's under-construction town, so perhaps he's made his choice? No one knows for sure, and Martin isn't talking about the matter, at least not publicly, so we will just have to wait to see how this one plays out. The second story I want to update you about is the ongoing feud between former Apple CEO Steve Jobs and world-famous maker of drip paintings Jackson Pollock. Regular listeners know that the two stubborn men had a falling out after Jobs commissioned Pollock to paint some murals for his environment project. Now, Jobs expected that the huge paintings would be similar to the ones that made Pollock's drips some of the most valuable art on the earthly plane. What Pollock produced, however, much to Steve's chagrin, was very explicit, enormous female nudes, totally unacceptable for the family environment Jobs has built in the next world. To fulfill the terms of their handshake agreement, Jobs put the paintings on the back wall of his office building, facing an alley and the blank wall of another building. Pollock vowed revenge, and now we know what form that revenge is taking. The volatile artist has arranged for dozens of tour buses filled with art connoisseurs to drive down the alley every day during business hours. The buses stop in front of the murals and disgorge their passengers who ooh and ah as they take pictures of the immense naked women depicted on them. I'm told by sources that as many as 3 dozen buses per hour come through the alleyway, and that Jobs is absolutely furious about the noise and congestion outside his office window. The notorious control freak has been sighted standing at the window of his top floor office, shaking his fist at Pollock in the alley below. Pollock, I'm informed, had an ear-to-ear grin on his face as he stared back at Jobs. So at the moment, the score appears to be Pollock 1, Jobs 0. Okay, that's it for the moment. As I mentioned, we'll be off next week for the July 4th holiday, but I will be back in 2 weeks with more up-to-the-minute gossip about all your favorite deceased celebrities. Please join me then, and also please spread the word that the report is available for free on iTunes. I am the Celebrity Medium. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to the Celebrity Afterlife Report podcast. To ask a question about your favorite deceased celebrity, call 818-3-MY-DREAM. 818-3-MY-DREAM. 818-369-3732.